Good morning. Welcome to Reiki Wednesday. I'm Jamie Lee of Animal Bonds. I want to thank you for joining me. If you're live watching this broadcast, thank you for being up early and taking the time to watch it. If you're watching the replay, thank you. And please feel free to share the video, write comments, questions down below. I always read through those and try to answer them. And this week, I had a topic in mind that I wanted to talk about, and then something happened this weekend, and I decided that I would talk about something else, and I'd like to share something with you that happened to me, and just so you can see what I was thinking about there. Just adjusting the camera just a second. There we go. What happened is that I recently overheard a conversation. And it's the kind of conversation that either makes you really, really angry or it jolts you into a new reality, a new understanding. There were the kind of conversation that has lessons in the words if you're able to really listen. So what happened is I was volunteering at a place for homeless animals, and there were a couple of staff members having a conversation. And in this conversation, they were talking about the politics of the day. And of course, it was lots of anger, lots of all kinds of things, all the ugly things that are going on. And then it came to the bombings in London and the bombings in this country and what are we going to do? What's coming to the world? We're just not safe. We're not safe. And one of them had some vacation plans. And they were going to fly somewhere and go to stadiums and go to museums and do all these things. And they were like, oh, but I'm afraid to get on the plane. What if it blows up? What if they attack us? What if I'm at the stadium and somebody comes in with a bomb? What if? And it became very evident that they were both carrying a great deal of fear. They were afraid to travel. They were afraid to attend events. They were afraid to be in crowds. They were afraid. But the real lesson for me came when one of the people, who's not a hateful person, said that she thought the only way she would feel safe is if that we killed all the young men of a certain religion. And I was shocked. But it was also one of those jolting statements. And then she said, as if, she understood the weight of her words, was, I guess that's like Nazi Germany, but I just am afraid. Wow. That was a lesson for me. In that moment, I realized the power that fear has on our lives. And not only on our lives, on the lives of other people. You know, Maya Angelou wrote, hope and fear cannot occupy the same space. Invite one to enter. Hope and fear cannot occupy the same space. Well, animals teach us how to bring hope instead of fear. They teach us the importance of living in the flow of creation. When I was 13, there was a flash flood that hit our town, and many of you who are watching this might have been around in that town, that same town, when this happened. And it was devastating. Homes were lost, businesses were destroyed, the landscape was destroyed. Over 200 people died that night. Countless animals died. It was horrific. It was a horrific night, and it was full of destruction. So, that night, when we knew there was floods coming, but we didn't know how bad it was going to be, my parents took me over to the neighbors. Their house was at the mouth of a canyon, and it was on one side of the road. And then they went to help other people evacuate. Well, before they could get back, a wall of water rushed down the canyon that night. And what happened was we couldn't get anywhere. We couldn't leave the house. We couldn't do anything. All we could see is the water rush down the canyon. And on the other side of this wall of water, there was an embankment, and there was their dog, Willie. Now, Willie was the neighborhood dog. he wasn't my dog, but I loved him like he was, because he would go to the school, which was just right down there from their house, and he would wait for all the kids, and he would play with us on recess, and Willie was just the neighborhood dog, and everybody loved him. So when we saw that, the woman was very upset. She said, "We have to get Willie," and her husband said, "We can't, he's gone." And he was standing there barking, letting us know he needed help. I was devastated. I was 13 years old. And suddenly, Willie jumped into the water, and the current took him and carried him away. And I was just standing there watching this in disbelief, because I just watched someone that I loved very much, I assume, die. So this was about 10 minutes later. You know, there wasn't much we could do. We were just caught up in this helplessness of the moment, when we heard barking. And we went to the door and looked, and there was Willie in the driveway, wet, dirty, but he was alive. And he had made it across. And so how did he do that? He did it by going into the flow of the current. He didn't fight it. When he jumped in, he did not fight that flow. He just allowed it to carry him down until he got to a place where it wasn't as strong, or there was higher ground sometime when he knew he could take his energy and get across. And that's what he did. And then he walked back up to the house. So, you know, that's an important lesson that I learned, because I believe if Willie had jumped in and fought the current, I believe he would have died that night. But he didn't. He allowed the current to carry him. And that's an important lesson that I have learned in life that I need to be aware of. And I can tell when I'm not doing it. I need to allow the flow of life to carry me. And then everything unfolds. I find peace. I find balance. I find satisfaction. It's when I'm fighting the current of life, trying to control things, trying to make things happen, or I'm afraid of what could happen. Oh my gosh, I'm so afraid, I'm caught up in the fear. That's when I don't have the peace, I don't have the balance, and things go wrong. So, staying in that flow, in that current, how do we do that? It's not always easy. But the first thing to do is to take responsibility for your destiny. Don't blame others for things that have happened or events, or look to others to save you. When you look outside of yourself, you're giving away your power. Be open and alert to change. Be on the lookout for it, and then be flexible when you see it happening. It's like, oh, this looks like there's some change coming. Okay, let life carry me. And then finally, commit to finding solutions for the problems and obstacles, because there's going to be problems and obstacles. We're always going to have that. But they don't have to stop us. We just have to find a solution. So, whenever the events in our life cause us to be thrown off balance and get us caught up in the fear, stop. Take a deep breath and remember the lessons of the animals to live in the flow of life. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for joining me this morning. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them below, and I will watch that before next week. If you have any comments, put those down, and thank you. Feel free to share. Again, thank you for watching. Let's go out and just live in the moment, be in the flow, and have a beautiful day today. Namaste.